and Alexander Evans on steel pan. Revival
Belize's expanding cattle industry. We take our first break and return with the news in detail.
Explore the great outdoors with Benny's Quality and Savings.
The Social Security Board's new whistleblower reporting system makes it easy and confidential to speak up by reporting misuse of the Social Security services and benefits, including fraud, misconduct, false claims, and more. If you know of any unethical or illegal activity relating to SSB benefits, claims, or personnel, go to ssbspeakup.integrityline.com or use our toll-free hotline 0800-SPEAK-UP, 0800-773-2587. This confidential reporting system is a way for you to report concerns or incidents privately without fear of reprisal. Your submission is confidential and anonymous. The Social Security Board is committed to providing a secure, confidential medium for whistleblowing that promotes organizational accountability and enhances public confidence in our services.
En Atlantic Bank, tu comodidad es nuestra prioridad. Nuestro centro de contacto está diseñado para mejorar tu experiencia bancaria, con una amplia gama de opciones de servicio al cliente. Ahorras tiempo y esfuerzo. Puedes llamar fácilmente para bloquear o desbloquear tus tarjetas de débito y crédito, realizar consultas de cuentas y acceder a información detallada de tus tarjetas. Ya sea que necesites asistencia con la banca en línea, apoyo para comercios o consultas generales, nuestro equipo está listo para ayudarte. Para mayor comodidad, si todos los operadores están ocupados, puedes dejar tu número y un operador te devolverá la llamada lo antes posible para asegurarse de que recibas el apoyo que necesitas. Para mayor seguridad, es posible que necesitemos verificar tu identidad con un conjunto de preguntas sencillas. Recuerda, Atlantic Bank nunca solicitará tu nombre de tu usuario ni contraseña de Atlantic Online por llamada telefónica, mensaje de texto o correo electrónico, asegurando que tu información personal permanezca segura y protegida. Nuestro equipo de apoyo está disponible de lunes a viernes, de 8 a.m. a 6 p.m., en inglés y en español. Simplemente marca al 223-1212. Esta es la línea dedicada para nuestro centro de contacto. Atlantic Bank se compromete a brindarte un servicio excepcional y las herramientas que necesitas para administrar tus finanzas de manera conveniente y segura. Aprovecha al máximo nuestro servicio del centro de contacto.
Atlantic Bank, building the future together.
Smart for everybody. Smart leading everything. Smart give you everything. Smart offer everything. Smart give you everything. North to the east and the south and the west. Smart are the best. Darling, double up my data and give me all the text. In fact, give me a plan for my family. Unlimited calls, so me like it. And Smart make everybody feel happy. Bringing people together, me want it now. Smart got love for everybody. Me want my Smart plan. Want it right now. Me want my Smart plan. Want it right now. More bundles, data plan. Me want my smartphone, internet in my hand. Cause me want my Smart plan. Want it right now. Smart. Stay connected. Stay happy.
At Habet and Abet and Brothers Abet, we've always proudly celebrated Women's Month. This year, we celebrate women keeping the balance at home, at work, and in their communities. That's why all March long, all women receive 15% off store-wide, from paints to plumbing and everything in between. Plus, 20 to 65% off lots more deals on sale and clearance. With trusted experience, top quality products, and service that's second to none, we're here to support women every step of the way. Visit or call us today. Happy Women's Month from all of us at Habet and Abet and Brothers Abet, doing our part to balance the scales.
While 501 is an effort to catalog and digitize more than 30 years of Carol and Richard Foster's extraordinary wildlife footage, a visual record of Belize's wild heart that has been shared with the world through platforms like BBC and National Geographic. This exhibition brings that work to life through new short wildlife films that Carol has been working on over the past few months. Curated photographs that capture the iconic Foster perspective, and hundreds of archival recordings that are now being preserved and made accessible for the first time.
But while 501 is more than just an exhibition or a gallery of pretty pictures, it is a living, breathing archive. It is a monumental effort to catalog, digitize, and preserve a cinematic history that belongs to all of us. The Fosters didn't just come here to film Belize. They chose to be Belize. They made this wild landscape their home and their life's mission. As award-winning filmmakers for giants like the BBC and National Geographic, they acted as our global ambassadors.
I knew I had to do something, and I wanted to do something. And I was looking through all my slides and looking through all, and I've been doing this for like more than a year, trying to get everything in, from past to present to future. I know that was my intentions of giving back to Belize.
In a democracy, what is good for the government cannot be bad for the people. And what is good for the people cannot be bad for the government.
We came a long way. It's like over 16 years that it was basically like 2-3 houses in that area.
It was wild. One high bush like jungle. I want to take my lick. Say no water, no light. I tell her no worry about that. We have figure it out.
You know, you wonder how long it will take for this to happen.
A year ago, you were considered squatters.
We made a picado and we came in.
I made a teenager.
Everybody said it was swamp, it was swamp. When we get in here, it was like gold.
Today, you're landowners.
Very
this stuff for we, and we proud of this.
Now we're claiming our house on the land.
We have worked so hard to make this happen for us.
This is a beautiful day, folks, because we are taking care of the people who have taken care of us. Because we wouldn't be here today without you.
A time to reflect, revive, and renew. Your Belize City Council invites you to an unforgettable free 2-day Holy Week revival concert. Backed by powerful demand, the return of award-winning songwriter and worship leader, Sinach. Live in concert, bringing healing, hope, and encouragement through worship. Join us Tuesday, March 31st, 2026 and Wednesday, April 1st, 2026 from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. at DigiPark on Newtown Barracks. And that's not all. Joining us for the first time is award-winning Christian reggae band Christafari. Also featuring powerful performances from our local gospel ministries and more. Do not miss worship, Centro Visión Misionero, Kings Park Church of the Nazarene Worship Team, life music from Life Church, Heavenlies, Wabagari Dance Group, and Alexander Evans on steel pan. Special thanks to all our partners whose support helps make this revival possible. So, bring your entire family and experience this powerful 2-day Holy Week revival concert in Belize City. Tuesday, March 31st and Wednesday, April 1st, 2026 at DigiPark on Newtown Barracks. Your Belize City Council, always about the people.
Belize is leveling up. We're moving from a bunch of IDs in endless forms to one secure, smart way to prove who you are. The National ID will give you your own unique number, a protected population register, and faster verification, so things actually get done quicker. It's built with privacy, transparency, and inclusion because this system is for everyone. Have something to say? Join the public consultation.
Welcome back with your news. I am Drea Espinosa. Since Monday, the western border near Benqueviejo del Carmen, Cayo, has been experiencing an extreme shortage of staff. By Tuesday, 10 officers had reported sick, putting a strain on the officers who reported to work. On Tuesday, CEO in the Ministry of Immigration, Tanya Santos, said it appeared to be a sick out, but said it had not been confirmed to be so.
Now it's 10 officers out. Yesterday, there were 8 officers who were sick. A couple of those had previously submitted their sick leave applications with certificates from over the weekend. Monday, there were 6 more, and then today 2 more. So indeed, we have 10 officers that are out sick at the western border today. Different ailments from what I have seen. So unfortunately, they all got sick at the same time. Yes, it does appear to be a coordinated sick out, and we are actually looking at officers who were sick. A couple of those had previously submitted their sick leave applications with certificates from over the weekend. Monday, there were 6 more, and then today, 2 more. So indeed, we have 10 officers that are out sick at the western border today. Different ailments from what I have seen. So unfortunately, they all got sick at the same time. Yes, it does appear to be a coordinated sick out, and we are actually looking and investigating to see if it is indeed so. At the point that I am today, the position I stand today is that I am unaware of any complaint, of any grievance of these officers for them to attempt to do a sick out, industrial action such as a sick out.
There are reports that the officers were staging a protest against their port commander, Cherie Flores. CEO Santos said that while she had heard similar reports, it has not been confirmed.
I've heard that from the media, actually. So you're getting the same information as I am getting, Jules, because like I said, internally, to my desk, I have not received any such information from these officers at the western border. As a matter of fact, as far as I'm aware, the director has been there several times, and for this level of action to be taken, if it is that it is a coordinated action, we have not been briefed of any serious matter there to that level, to that degree that requires action, industrial action effectively, although it can't be classified because there's no grievance as industrial action.
CEO Santos said that the matter will be investigated once the officers return from their sick leave.
The first step, Jules, is to find out what is happening. Why did these officers feel that they had to do a coordinated effort and have a sick out, if that is what it is? It looks like that. Because like I said, we have not received any such grievance. So I can't speak with them now because they're all sick. I have to wait until they get off their sick leave and they're all present and at the office, at the port, to call in everybody, including the port commander, meet with them and find out, get to the bottom of what's happening here. It might simply be a matter of good communication, proper communication, respect for each other. I really can't tell you, you know as much as I do. And it's unfortunate that it has come to this level where a port of entry in our country is at risk for unknown reasons. That is the situation. And if it is that it was uncalled for, if it is that procedures weren't followed, if it is that there needs to be disciplinary action, there will be disciplinary action. And of course, it will have to follow the public service regulations. If it is that it's a matter of personalities, it has to be addressed. If it is that the port commander is operating in a fashion that is unbecoming of a supervisor, it has to be addressed. If it is that officers are operating and doing things that they should not be doing, it needs to be looked at and dealt with. But until we get to that point, we can't do anything with these officers or with the port commander as yet. And that is yet to be determined. That is a short term.
Immigration Ministry CEO Tanya Santos on Tuesday said despite the staff shortage, the western border has been able to mostly operate normally. She said that officers stationed at different ports have been temporarily transferred.
Thankfully, reports are that the movement of people is reduced. I'm verifying this information with our database, our MIDAS database, to see if indeed the number of travelers has decreased. And we believe so, primarily because of the security issues up in Mexico. So we don't see the same amount of people passing through as in past years this time of year. But I'm getting that information. So it's been manageable. If it continues this way, we should be able, again, to manage that. But we have taken steps, bringing in officers who are off duty, reaching out to other officers from other stations who won't have the same level of travelers at their ports, or maybe none at all, and getting the support going. ports that are affected, well, they're not really ports. Right now it's Belmopan, which is an office. We don't do, it's not a port of entry. And Benke, like I said, officers who are off duty are there. But after today, we may be needing officers from our district to come in and support. But right now they're operating, I'd say, at about maybe 60, 70%.
As for the upcoming Easter weekend, which is expected to be a busy one, Santos said they will reassign officers who were previously scheduled to be off.
Well, it's the same that we will be doing. We will be calling out. We have actually already been reaching out to other ports to get officers who will be off duty to come in and support. And of course, there's an additional cost to that because it's the same that we will be doing. We will be calling out. We have actually already been reaching out to other ports to get officers who will be off duty to come in and support. And of course, there's an additional cost to that because we have to put these officers up at hotels and pay for their food and their subsistence and all of that. But if this is what it takes to keep the port up and running and keep the movement and the flow smooth, then that's what we'll have to do.
This week's suspected sick-out by certain immigration officers has proven to be an inconvenience for travelers and immigration officers who have been temporarily displaced, especially those who may now have to work during Easter. However, on Tuesday, Immigration CEO Tanya Santos explained that beyond simply being an inconvenience, it also poses a national security risk.
Well, one of the first that would be easy to see, Jules, will be if you don't have enough booths filled and you have your travelers arriving at the port. Clearly, it's going to be too many travelers for the officers that are there, so your lines are going to be longer. The wait period is going to be longer. You'll have a lot more frustrated travelers, and that in itself creates havoc, creates confusion, creates anger and upset travelers. So you're looking at that and complaints about Belize immigration and the country of Belize on a whole. But second, and probably even more critical, you don't have enough officers to be screening who is coming through. You don't know, you have to be rushing to keep up with the crowd. And then you might not have these officers who are who have specialized training to look at specific details of these travelers and to be able to flag and have the time to flag what's happening or who they are and see these little signs that, maybe this person needs to go to secondary for screening. And so there is definitely some serious national security risk for things like this to happen. And it's unfortunate that these weren't considered and these drastic actions were taken instead of giving the system a time to process whatever these grievances were or are.
The final modifications have been made to the Millennium Challenge Corporation, MCC, Belize Compact. The MCC is a U.S. government-funded development agency that partners with eligible countries to support projects aimed at reducing poverty and promoting economic growth. It was announced today that Cabinet approved the proposed modifications of the Belize Compact, which feature a reallocation of $20 million of the U.S. $125 million MCC funds from the education project to the energy project. It means that rather than 80% going to education, it will now be only 60%, while the remaining 40% is allocated for the energy project. The amendments were required after President Trump took office in his second term and mandated a review of all foreign aid. While the Belize Compact was allowed to proceed, amendments were required. At one point, the Prime Minister told Krem News XTV that the Americans wanted some of the funds to be spent on fossil fuel options. Today, we asked the Minister of Energy, Honorable Michelle Shabat, if the MCC insisted on that still.
The indication was that the funds were not just limited to renewable sources, and I think that has been expanded so that in the event that we possibly wanted to look at alternative generation sources, We could if we wanted to, but that is not the case. We're really focusing on the 80 megawatts of solar energy, and we're looking at infrastructure, we're looking at the grid to make sure that our system is able to take that up once those come on stream. About 41 million US or so is now being allocated for the energy projects. And included in those, we have settled upon several things. Some of those funds are going to be used to procure selected hardware that are going to be deployed at the hydros to make them more efficient and more reliable. Some funds are also going to be used to procure and also to build some of the interconnection points we're going to be needing for the new generation capacity that we are going to be getting shortly. As you're aware, there's currently an RFQ out for 80 megawatts of solar energy. And some of the funds, in addition, is going to be used for capacity building within the ministry. We're going to use some funds to also draft a new energy act under which we are thinking we're going to subsume the current Electricity Act and make it a little bit more modern and pertinent to all the new sources of energy that we are going to be getting from. And I believe a portion of the funds will also be used to create the grid codes, the distribution grid codes and so forth, which are needed so that anybody who wants to interact with BEL would know what are the standards required by BEL and would be able to match those so that there's symmetry between systems, right?
The minister says the MCC board is to approve the modifications, and he is hopeful that by June this year they can start seeing some major movement on the project. The Belize government has also committed to provide counterpart financing to support the compact. After the break, shouldn't BTL have been conducting an education campaign on the SpeedNet buyout? Stay with us.
El rotavirus es una de las principales causas de diarrea acuosa severa y vómitos en niños. Puede causar deshidratación severa y hospitalizaciones. La buena noticia es que la vacuna contra el rotavirus ya está disponible. Se administra por gotas orales a los 2, 4 y 6 meses de edad. Protege tu bebé. Visite hoy su centro de salud más cercano.
Running a business in Belize and getting an international order? Shipping your products abroad is simple with the Belize Postal Service. To quickly confirm the order, you can fill out your customs declaration right from the comfort of your home. To access the declaration form online, please visit the following websites. Simply enter your item in the CDS web kiosk to instantly see the landed cost, duties, taxes, and fees. Postage rates can be checked on your rate sheets. Share the landed cost with your customer and finalize the sale in minutes. Once the sale is confirmed, the system generates your declaration identification number, your key to a smooth and fast drop-off. And if you don't have internet access, you can always visit any of our post offices for assistance. Bring your unsealed package and declaration ID to any Belize Postal Service location. Our clerks will verify your items, seal your package, and prepare your declaration, quick and simple. It's fast, simple, reliable. The Belize Postal Service, connecting your business to the world.
Kite flying is fun, but it can also be dangerous. Fly kites safely by following these tips. Never use wire, metallic thread, or wire-reinforced strings. You could be electrocuted. Remember, even a safely built kite can cause a power outage if it gets caught in a power line. Always use paper, plastic, or wood to build kites. Never fly kites near power lines, in the path of traffic, aircrafts, or near highways. Always fly kites with a responsible adult in open areas, in dry weather, and with clear visibility. Never attempt to remove your kite from a power line. Always call BEL at 0800-235 2273 if your kite gets caught in a power line. Belize Electricity Limited. We care about your safety.
Nando's Wholesale is your market leader in Belize's wholesale industry when it comes to high-quality products at the most reasonable and competitive prices. With over 40 years in the wholesale business, Nando's Wholesale embraces the partnership of the hotel industry in Belize by providing world-renowned brands in wines, seasonings, condiments, and cleaners in industrial sizes, as well as small and large kitchen appliances and equipment. Nando's also takes pride in providing one of the quietest and most durable air conditioning systems in Belize with technical support and spare parts. Nando's Wholesale. Professional, reliable, effective, and prompt. Nando's Wholesale always delivers. Visit us at www.nandos.bz or send an email to nandos@nandos.bz. Or, even better yet, give us a call today at 222-500 or 280-8080 to speak to one of our sales representatives today.
The Social Security Board's new whistleblower reporting system makes it easy and confidential to speak up by reporting misuse of the Social Security services and benefits, including fraud, misconduct, false claims, and more. If you know of any unethical or illegal activity relating to SSB benefits, claims, or personnel, go to ssbspeakup.integrityline.com or use our toll-free hotline 0800-SPEAK-UP, 0800-773-2587. This confidential reporting system is a way for you to report concerns or incidents privately without fear of reprisal. Your submission is confidential and anonymous. The Social Security Board is committed to providing a secure, confidential medium for whistleblowing that promotes organizational accountability and enhances public confidence in our services.
Is that all?
This is everything.
Sea una persona ocupada o atrapada en el tráfico, o que tenga una circunstancia adversa o muy exigente, la tensión se acumula y lo estresa. El estrés ataca a todos en cualquier momento, a cualquier edad. El estrés es un asesino. Es mejor estar vivo que muerto, así que visite la farmacia de Freetown para obtener opciones.
Hola, ¿qué tal? ¿Qué puedo hacer para usted hoy?
Estoy bien estresado.
Ok, tengo una pastilla que te va a ayudar, ¿ok? Que toma una de eso al día para 10 días y va a estar bien después, ¿eh?
Ok. Farmacia Freetown, carretera 28 Freetown, donde estás mejor vivo que muerto. Farmacia Freetown, teléfono 22 32 87 6.
Our Belize City is growing because of continued investment. From rehabilitated streets to expanding neighborhoods, significant investments are improving how our city functions and how our communities live. In the last 2 years alone, more than 250 streets have been rehabilitated, representing almost $34 million invested directly in physical infrastructure that improves access and quality of life. At the same time, the city continues to expand. Developments such as the Holy Emmanuel area, also known as Gungalung, reflect increased demand for land and housing as Belize City expands in a more sustainable and resilient way. These planned developments support safer communities and long-term sustainability, contributing to rising property values across the city. Under the Town's Property Evaluation Act, property values are required to be reviewed every 5 years. The last valuation adjustment was done in 2013. This adjustment simply brings property values closer to today's market reality, while the tax rate itself remains unchanged. Let's break it down. For a vacant property valued at $25,000, we charged an annual 2% rate, which works out to a payment of $500. Under the new assessment, the property value has appreciated by 40%, making the property now worth $35,000. Therefore, the new amount to be paid will be 2% of $35,000, which works out to $700. For an occupied property valued at $25,000, we charged an annual 10% rate, which works out to $2,500. Under the new assessment, the property's value has appreciated by 18%, making the property now worth $29,500. Therefore, the new amount to be paid will be 10% of $29,500, which works out to $2,950. To support property owners, your Belize City Council is encouraging residents to take advantage of the ongoing property tax prepayment incentives. Property owners receive 15% off in January, 10% off in February, and 5% in March. And senior citizens receive a 35% discount year-round. Remember, this adjustment represents an appreciation in your property's worth, not a change in tax rates, ensuring continued investment in your city while providing valuable data for informing investors, municipal bondholders, and individual credit assessments. And we want residents to know the law provides a clear mechanism for review and appeal if needed. Those who believe their valuation does not fairly reflect their property have the right to engage the Belize City Valuation Appeals Board. Your Belize City Council remains committed to openness, accountability, and ensuring that growth is managed fairly for everyone. Your Belize City Council, always about the people.
To the beautiful people of Lake Independence, you have kept me humble and grounded. You set the standard for love. Anything after that, just imitation. There was nothing like Lake I love.
Love yours.
Attention advertisers, sellers and readers of the Amandala newspaper, please be advised that there will be no online Tuesday issue of the newspaper on Tuesday, March 31st, 2026 and Tuesday, April 7th, 2026. There will only be the Friday issue, which will hit the streets on Thursday, April 2nd, 2026 and Friday, April 10th, 2026. Happy Easter from the management and staff of the Amandala newspaper.
The Minister of Public Utilities, Honorable Michelle Shabat, announced in the House of Representatives on Friday, February 6, that the Prime Minister had ordered a pause on discussions for BTL to, quote, further engage the public in a genuine, open, and cordial way, and to ensure the proper regulatory process is followed, end quote. He further explained that any proposed acquisition of this nature must first be reviewed by the regulatory body. Today, we asked Minister Shabat if BTL should have been conducting an education campaign.
This is a national issue, right? And the more conversations that can be had is always the best way to go, right? Whether or not they could have or should have done something or so on, you know, we always want as broad as possible consultations and conversations when we're dealing with issues of national importance, right? I think critically, the most important thing is that now the PUC has taken it over, and perhaps that is where it should have started, right? They have now taken it over, and now they are the ones who are conducting these consultations and so forth. And being the regulator, I think they are the correct body to be doing it.
The PUC's one-month deadline to receive comments ends on Monday, April 13 at 5 p.m. Comments can be submitted to info@puc.bz. The subject should be comments/proposed acquisition of SpeedNet Communications by Belize Telemedia Limited. During the Senate's budget debate, leader of government business, Eamon Courtney, offered a brief introduction, warning that economic fallout from the conflict in the Middle East will not spare Belize and may require the administration to return to the National Assembly with revised figures. In outlining key initiatives and areas of economic expansion, he pointed to the continued growth of the cattle export and highlighted the significant number of women now active as producers.
And Belize expanded our investment and our activity in the cattle industry. We exported 7,748 head of cattle to Mexico. And due to that, Madam President, we had an increase in value from 12 million in 2024 to 16.3 million in 2025. In addition, 33,910 heads were exported informally to our neighbors, increasing earnings by an additional 60.7 million. That brings a total in 2025, Madam President, of 77 million in earning from the cattle industry, and it is projected in 2026 that the earning will be approximately 90 million. That is because it is expected that at least 10,000 head of cattle will be exported to Mexico and an additional 37,000 head of cattle to Guatemala. Madam President, I emphasize this sector because it is a growing sector. We look at the number of persons in cattle, 8,159, up from 7,500 in 2024. Over 5,000 of these are small farmers with less than 50 head of cattle, and over 800 are women. The Belize cattle population continues to grow. We have a record high of 208,455 head of cattle in the middle of March 2025. And so, Madam President, it is our assessment that the agriculture sector, which is the backbone of our Belizean economy, which provides food security and foreign exchange earning and significant employment across the breadth of the country, will continue to grow. It is expected to continue to contribute to job creation, foreign exchange earning, Madam President, and most of all, to keep the Belizean people fed.
Every year before the United Nations General Assembly, member states vote on a Cuba-led resolution titled Necessity of Ending the Economic, Commercial, and Financial Embargo Imposed by the United States of America against Cuba. For decades, the vote has remained consistent. The vast majority of states vote in favor, with only the United States and Israel opposing it, and a handful of abstentions. Support has hovered between 185 and 190 votes in favor. However, that pattern started changing in the past 2 years. In 2025, support fell to 165 votes, while 7 states voted against it, and there were 12 abstentions. Countries who voted against the resolution apart from the U.S. and Israel were Argentina, Hungary, Paraguay, Ukraine, and North Macedonia. The vote comes up again in September. In a recent interview, we asked the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Honorable Francis Fonseca, if Belize can expect pressure from the U.S. to change its vote.
In terms of pressure, I think, yes, it's no secret that every time that resolution comes up for a vote, the United States government, of course, asks countries not to support, to vote no or to abstain. Belize has not changed its position on that issue. So, that again, that is something that will come up in September. again, we are watching what is happening in Cuba. As you all know, it's on the public record. The president of Cuba himself has made it public that they are themselves in discussions and with the Americans. We will see what comes out of that. So I think everybody is watching and waiting, we will see how it goes.
The last reported charges had been brought against the Venezuelan captain of the Panamanian vessel that docked at the Big Creek port with 55,000 gallons of fuel. They presented fraudulent documents and therefore lacked the required clearance from the Customs Department and the Department of Environment. Today, the Minister of Ports, Michelle Shabat, said the matter remains in the hands of the Customs Department.
It really is in the hands of Customs. As far as I know, the vessel is still down there. And I know that the captain has been charged in relation to that vessel. And in terms of the fuel, that really is in the hands of Customs so that they can dispose of it or really handle it according to the Customs law.
In police news, police are investigating an aggravated burglary that occurred Monday night at a residence just off the Philip Golson Highway near the Haulover Bridge. At approximately 8:35 that night, 3 masked men, one armed with a firearm, entered the home of a 73-year-old American retiree and his wife while they were watching television. The assailants reportedly forced the husband to open a safe. The men stole $5,000 in cash, a Rolex watch valued at $10,000, an iPhone 16 valued at $1,100, and assorted jewelry. The trio fled through the back door after a stolen vehicle key accidentally triggered an alarm. The couple sustained minor facial injuries during the struggle. While the investigation remains ongoing, authorities confirmed that the stolen iPhone was recovered on the Belize City side of the Haulover Bridge. Surveillance footage from the property is currently pending review as police search for the suspects. Meanwhile, police today arrested and charged 29-year-old Zane Peter Pott with 1 count of murder. Pott, who is a Belizean laborer of Independence Stand Creek, was charged in connection with the death of Valentine Palma, which occurred sometime between March 15 and 16 in Independence. After the break, Belize set to host a major regional boxing competition, and Belize Boxing Commission established as country's regulatory body for boxing. Stay tuned.
Rotavirus is a leading cause of severe watery diarrhea and vomiting in young children. It can lead to dangerous dehydration and hospital visits. The good news? The rotavirus vaccine is now available countrywide. It is given in drops at 2, 4, and 6 months of age. Protect your child. Visit your nearest health clinic today.
Smart for everybody. Smart leading everything. Smart give you everything. Smart offer everything. Smart give you everything. North to the east and the south and the west. Smart are the best. Darling, double up my data and give me all the text. In fact, give me a plan for my family. Unlimited calls, so me like it. And Smart make everybody feel happy. Bringing people together, me want it now. Smart got love for everybody. Me want my Smart plan. Want it right now. Me want my Smart plan. Want it right now. More bundles, data plan. Me want my smartphone, internet in my hand. Call me want my Smart plan. Want it right now. Smart. Stay connected. Stay happy.
En Atlantic Bank, tu comodidad es nuestra prioridad. Nuestro centro de contacto está diseñado para mejorar tu experiencia bancaria, con una amplia gama de opciones de servicio al cliente. Ahorras tiempo y esfuerzo. Puedes llamar fácilmente para bloquear o desbloquear tus tarjetas de débito y crédito. realizar consultas de cuentas y acceder a información detallada de tus tarjetas. Ya sea que necesites asistencia con la banca en línea, apoyo para comercios o consultas generales, nuestro equipo está listo para ayudarte. Para mayor comodidad, si todos los operadores están ocupados, puedes dejar tu número y un operador te devolverá la llamada lo antes posible para asegurarse de que recibas el apoyo que necesitas. Para mayor seguridad, es posible que necesitemos verificar tu identidad con un conjunto de preguntas sencillas. Recuerda, Atlantic Bank nunca solicitará tu nombre de tu usuario ni contraseña de Atlantic Online por llamada telefónica, mensaje de texto o correo electrónico, asegurando que tu información personal permanezca segura y protegida. Nuestro equipo de apoyo está disponible de lunes a viernes, de 8 a.m. a 6 p.m. en inglés y en español. Simplemente marca al 223-1212. Esta es la línea dedicada para nuestro centro de contacto. Atlantic Bank se compromete a brindarte un servicio excepcional y las herramientas que necesitas para administrar tus finanzas de manera conveniente y segura. Aprovecha al máximo nuestro servicio del centro de contacto.
Atlantic Bank, building the future together.
For any project, big or small, Best Screws provide strength, efficiency, durability, and affordability. Get the screws specifically designed for your next project. Get Best Screw, the power to build, the strength to last. Available at Benny's. Quality and savings.
The Social Security Board's new whistleblower reporting system makes it easy and confidential to speak up by reporting misuse of the Social Security services and benefits, including fraud, misconduct, false claims, and more. If you know of any unethical or illegal activity relating to SSB benefits, claims, or personnel, go to ssbspeakup.integrityline.com or use our toll-free hotline 0800-SPEAK-UP, 0800-773-2587. This confidential reporting system is a way for you to report concerns or incidents privately without fear of reprisal. Your submission is confidential and anonymous. The Social Security Board is committed to providing a secure, confidential medium for whistleblowing that promotes organizational accountability and enhances public confidence in our services.
While 501 is an effort to catalog and digitize more than 30 years of Carol and Richard Foster's extraordinary wildlife footage, a visual record of Belize's wild heart that has been shared with the world through platforms like BBC and National Geographic. This exhibition brings that work to life through new short wildlife films that Carol has been working on over the past few months. Curated photographs that capture the iconic Foster perspective, and hundreds of archival recordings that are now being preserved and made accessible for the first time.
But while 501 is more than just an exhibition or a gallery of pretty pictures, it is a living, breathing archive. It is a monumental effort to catalog, digitize, and preserve a cinematic history that belongs to all of us. The Fosters didn't just come here to film Belize. They chose to be Belize. They made this wild landscape their home and their life's mission. As award-winning filmmakers for giants like the BBC and National Geographic, they acted as our global ambassadors.
I knew I had to do something, and I wanted to do something. And I was looking through all my slides and looking through all, and I've been doing this for like more than a year, trying to get everything in, from past to present to future. I know that was my intentions of giving back to Belize.
The beautiful people of Lake Independence, you have kept me humble and grounded. You set the standard for love. Anything after that, just imitation. There is nothing like Lake I love.
Love yours.
Attention advertisers, sellers and readers of the Amandala newspaper, please be advised that there will be no online Tuesday issue of the newspaper on Tuesday, March 31st, 2026 and Tuesday, April 7th, 2026. There will only be the Friday issue, which will hit the streets on Thursday, April 2nd, 2026 and Friday, April 10th, 2026. Happy Easter from the management and staff of the Amandala newspaper.
The sport of boxing has experienced a surge in popularity in the country recently, so much so that the last boxing event in Belize City drew a packed crowd. Today, the commissioner of the Belize Boxing Commission, BBC, Javier Romero, revealed to Creme News XTV that a major regional boxing event is scheduled to take place in May at the Princess Vegas Casino inside the Corozal Free Zone in Santa Elena, Corozal. He said there will be 8 professional fights, including the return of Amir King Mayor Rudon.
Has shown greater interest in the sport. They're starting to follow the athletes. The last event that was held in Belize City, it was a packed crowd. People have their favorite boxers. They're following them now. They're showing greater interest, and so much so that we have been approached, and it is a goal that there will be this or the largest event in terms of numbers at the Princess Casino at the Corozal Free Zone. That is scheduled for May 16th, in which you will have 8 professional fights. In the main event, you will have Amir Rodon. So he's making a comeback, and he will be featured in that main event bout. It will also feature one of the regional favorites or a crowd favorite in the form of Adrian Parra from Chetomal. So this event in particular will show how boxing has been growing in Belize and the interest that it can attract. So we will have 2 of the biggest stars in the region for that event. So you'll have Amir Rodon and Adrian Parra on that card. You will also have the former world title challenger Jessica Basulta on that card, as well as fighters from Guatemala and Honduras. So you will have an international card on May 16th at the Princess Casino, at the Las Vegas Princess Casino in the Corozal-free zone. So that is proof of how the sport has grown and where it can go.
The Belize Boxing Commission has officially launched as the nation's primary regulatory authority for professional boxing. Incorporated as a non-profit under the Belize Companies Act of 2022, the commission is formally recognized by the National Sports Council. Under Article 19 of the Belize Sports Act, Chapter 46, the BBC now holds the exclusive legal mandate to supervise and regulate all professional boxing activities across the country. Today, the BBC Commissioner, Javier Romero, spoke more on what this means for the athletes.
We established the Belize Boxing Commission in order to take the next step in terms of boxing regulation here in Belize. So the importance of establishing the commission was to make a clear distinction between what it is that are the promoters, the managers, and the commission that is responsible for the regulation and the officiating of boxing events. During its nascence, what we had was an all-encompassing system. And we saw the importance of making that distinction, where you have the commission on one end and you have all the different groups that put together these events as a separate entity. What we're trying to establish is we're trying to prioritize as much as possible fighter safety. So we're trying to increase that in a sense that when a boxer steps into the ring in Belize, we'll make sure that they have the proper medical screenings, that they have qualified referees and judges at these events, and a regulatory body that is responsive to the needs of all stakeholders involved, including the boxers, the fans, the promoters, the managers. So this is just the next step in an evolving sport.
Romero is the BBC's commissioner, and he said that a major focus will be athlete safety.
As president, it's just a continuation of the work that we had been doing for the past 4 years. We're looking into increasing establishing our rules to increase fighter safety. So that is our main objective. The focus is and has always been the boxer, in which they are guaranteed these safety provisions that an effective commission provides.
Romero said that the National Sports Council has pledged to assist the commission in growing the sport of boxing in Belize.
Based on the discussions that we have had with the Sports Council, they are on board in terms of supporting the sport of boxing. They see its potential, and yes, we have seen that they are willing to assist, even if it's in kind, not necessarily monetarily, but they have been important in the development of the sport. They have assisted from its nascence. They have assisted us tremendously through either through subsidizing venues or through assisting us with certain logistical arrangements. The National Sports Council has been helpful in that regard, and we're very thankful for the work that they have been doing and what they have stated that they will be doing in terms of trying to develop the sport of boxing in Belize.
And as we reported on Tuesday, Belizean primary school teachers from 4 primary schools in Cayo District are in Colorado as part of an educational exchange program. Today, the students visited the University of North Colorado, where they were able to interact with student teachers. President and co-founder of the Belize Education Project, Dr. Jean Kirshner, who is also a professor at UNC, said the sharing of experiences was valuable. Ewart Caballero, the principal of Buena Vista Government School in Cayo, said this is his 4th trip, but added that the experience continues to be valuable.
We came over to the University of Northern Colorado, which is where I teach at the School of Teacher Ed. And we did a tram tour where we got into like a little, I want to say go-kart, if you will, where if 12 people can fit into a go-kart, and took a tour of the campus. It's pretty impressive. I think university campuses in the United States are a little bit different than Belize because they're very large. And so to take a go-kart all the way around this big campus, had lunch with the other School of Teacher Education professors. And it was really inspiring because every single person, the teachers and the professors and the principals, told the story of why we went into education.
I mean, the collaboration is excellent. I could speak about my experience here, like what Dr. Krishna mentioned earlier. We both learn from each other. In these schools, get the opportunity to engage with amazing students. We share best practices. We visit a number of the school in Denver, and there is a lot I can take to help develop my school in my part of the country. I could recall my first visit in terms of the entire structure of the different elementary schools that we visit, completely different than ours. The amount of resources available is definitely a factor. The human resource, they have specialists, and in our case, we don't necessarily have those. Our teachers are jack of all trades. They do everything. They are the counselors, they are the teachers, they are everything, and that is a difference. But despite that, we have similar challenges, and learning different strategies help us to become better.
Dr. Deborah Romero, who is the director of UNC's School of Teacher Education, explained that Colorado law now requires that teachers have experience with teaching students who are culturally and linguistically diverse.
Specialized area is culturally and linguistically diverse education. So all of my career and teaching and research has been specifically helping and preparing teachers to work with students who come from other cultures, who speak other languages, who are different from many of our what we might call mainstream students in American classrooms. But in the state of Colorado in 2018, a new law was passed that requires all teachers to have experience working with culturally and linguistically diverse students. So in terms of teacher preparation, it really is important that our candidates, our pre-service teachers, understand not just generally how young students learn and develop and particularly engage in oral and written language as a vehicle to learn and apply their content, but also understanding the differences and the implications for students who come from other cultures. So in terms of the impact of having teachers from other countries, it's really kind of a flipped version of a study abroad for our students. We love to promote study abroad and encourage all of our pre-service teachers. And I know many have been fortunate enough to travel with Dr. Jean Kirshner to Belize to experience Belizean schools and classrooms. I myself have also taken teacher candidates to Mexico. I'm also Mexicana, so I have a connection and a history con Mexico, and we visited schools in Mexico. But unfortunately, not all of our pre-service teachers are able to step away from school or from the university or from even the state of Colorado. So bringing in the international component, the global perspectives to our classrooms is really a fascinating way to sort of flip that experience.
We also spoke with third-year UNC students Flynn Spellman, Sabrina Holst, and Caitlin Anderson, who said that after speaking with Belizean educators, they noted the different experiences, but also the shared passion for teaching.
I think one of the biggest things I learned was that a lot of our struggles are similar, even though we're very far apart. A lot of us kind of brought up the same concerns about how to engage families, even when they all have different struggles, and just kind of trying to meet them where they're at, especially when you might not have all of the support and resources that you might need for that situation. So I think a lot of the time educators are just going to have to be the people who take that first step and take the initiative and kind of send the invitation to families, because a lot of the times we're going to be that initial contact or advocate for the children, and that makes families more comfortable to reach back to us and collaborate as well.
I would say that the biggest thing that I learned in when we were doing our project was she was telling me how different Belize is from here, and how slow paced it is, and how here things move a lot faster and a lot quicker, and it's hard to keep up. But in Belize it's a lot slower, and it's kind of like a more relaxing way to live. I would say that the biggest thing is just, regardless of resources, just teach with your whole heart. I think that that's what the kids really need, is you. It doesn't matter as much as resources, but that you care and you show up and you do that, you try your hardest as a teacher.
Yeah, during my interaction with the educator, I think my biggest takeaway was one of our 7 C's that we worked on was compassion. I think that's one of the biggest things that she really wanted. We worked on her story for our little project, so I think one of the biggest things that she really wanted for her childhood was just compassion, because she was telling me this story that she came from a different city and had this whole experience, and the language barriers and all of this, and her teachers just didn't really come with a lot of compassion. So I think that gave me just another reminder that that's a huge thing that you need to have going into education. We did a little rotation where we were able to talk to a few of the different educators, just their passion. I can hear behind all of their stories that they just really care.
And with that, we've come to the end of our newscast. The repeat can be viewed on this station later tonight at 9 and again tomorrow at midday. Join us again tomorrow for another edition of the news. And remember, you can always catch up with the day's top stories on our YouTube channel and Facebook page under XTV Belize. And you can watch the evening news live on our XTV BHNI app. I am Drea Espinosa. Have a safe and enjoyable evening.